Welcome to the Week 15 Sunday night edition of the PFF Forecast. We just witnessed greatness, okay? So this is going to be an incredible podcast. We've got some things that we learned this week, and we're going to jump into Week 16 and guess the lines. So let's rock. We ask the tough questions here on the PFF Forecast. That's what we do. We attack the questions that no one else wants to answer. So
won't nobody else ask, as Randy Moss once said.
Nobody. The greatest receiver of all time, Randy Moss.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you.
Former 49er, great. Best not receiver in the history of the Niners.
Let me put you on the hot seat here. Is Joe Judge the coach of the year?
I don't know, man. I mean, they had to overcome so much tonight. No offensive coordinator.
Who else
Could have put up 6.
Put up 6 points and come this close to completing a touchdown pass to a center from a punter.
Oh, you know what Grossi said? The both teams were 0 for 1.
Yeah, bad night for analytics.
Gambling.
Really bad night for
analytics.
The team that uses
the models do say spit out. The models do spit out. Use your punter to throw the ball to a It's like Marty from another team movie again. He's like triple covered. He's the freaking long snapper. What are you doing?
Let me tell you how bad the Giants are. The Giants are so bad that the entire Sunday night crew, including
Rodney picked
Rodney is below 500, significantly below 500 on straight up picks in the pregame show. The entire cast picked the Cleveland Browns, which is usually a kiss of death.
I know.
I have not seen a team win in that situation yet, and somehow the Giants were so bad they could not.
We talked about this on the forecast last week. I made a bet at plus 199 that no team in the NFL will go 0-16. And I remember last week when I was on, I can't remember if it was this show or a different show, but they were like, well, wait until they lose to the Rams, because then like that price will go up. And I'm just taking it now. So I put like a decent amount on there, and I did not think the Jets would win another game, but I did it anyway because our simulation said they would win 0.6 games. So it was a positive EV bet. I took all that money and bet it on the Browns minus 6.5 tonight, and when I saw Rodney pick the Browns, I wanted to sell off. I was just like,
91% of the cash tonight was on the Browns. It's almost as if people knew that the Giants sucked, except for the NFL, who decided we must get them on Sunday Night Football. It has to happen.
Think about this: the game.
Let's shine a light on.
Well, we should go back. Like one of our interns or somebody should do this, but like go back and look.
Zach.
Go back and look at all the games were flexed, and look at the game that was like flexed for it, and see if it was a better game. Like Niners Cowboys was actually a good game.
Yeah.
When
Tony Pollard, that's what you.
Yeah. Well, the funniest part was all the people who were. So there were a bunch of people like tweeting out like, "How the heck is this number still 3.5? How is this number still 3.5?" I was like, Dallas is more likely to win without Zeke. They're like more explosive. They're just a better team. Of course, they went outright. Greenline, I think, had a Dallas like plus 165, which was good.
It's kind of hot. Let's talk a little bit about the actual big storyline here, which is that the New York Jets. So this is interesting. I want to ask you this question: did the New York Jets ruin the next 15 years of their franchise today? Like, is that like
maybe,
too
but
much
dude,
of a leap?
I mean, like we've seen this though, right? Like let's go back in history and look at all the guys. Like so, Andrew Luck was it for that was like the one everybody wanted. And Luck had a great career, but ultimately, like, did he change the course of the Indy franchise? Yeah, but not like he's not a Hall of Famer, right? Like, who have been the other ones? Like,
Yeah, but
there's so much noise.
Peyton was one, and Peyton
was one, sure, but that was 1998. That was two expansions ago. Like this is
here's the question though, because the Jets are such a disastrous organization, right? That it will take a hero. You're wearing a Superman shirt. It's going to take a hero to turn this around.
Is Douglas? I mean, they actually have, I think, some. I mean, the issue is like they haven't been able to clean house yet, though, right? Like Douglas is in there, and like from all indications, he's okay. Gase is not very good, and like, but they don't have talent on the. Look, it sucks. It's a huge blow to them. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying, but I'm saying like let's back it up a little bit and realize that the credible intervals for Trevor Lawrence include the credible intervals for Zach Wilson, who I wrote about this week. And I had to rewrite the first part of the article because of that freaking game. Mm-hmm. And then, like, Justin Fields played like dog shit against Northwestern, but he was without his best receiver. There's a little bit of an issue. There's also the Haskins connection where, like, Haskins looked really good at Ohio State, too. Looks terrible now. But, like, look at you were talking about the 2018 draft with me upstairs. It's like, would you redraft that entire thing? Like, Darnold was the consensus one for a long time.
And this is a good one. By the way, you talked about separation earlier. Currently, the thing getting the most separation this entire week is you from your mic.
I have a loud voice. Separation, the second most valuable thing in all
Tyler prepares
football.
for it. Okay, but this is a great point. So this is what I kind of wanted to talk about. That we just saw Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has the highest PFF grade since week 7. That's when Odell Beckham got hurt. He has the second highest PFF grade behind Mahomes, right ahead Rodgers, and right ahead Deshaun Watson. But if you look at those four, right? If you look at Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold, and you redrafted them, you would go what order?
It's tough, man. You ask last year, and Lamar's clearly the first one. Mm-hmm. Lamar, by the way, hitting his stride a little bit.
Yeah, he played really well today.
But now it's Allen, right? I mean, it's Allen.
Taking Josh Allen full stop.
Allen, Lamar, Baker.
I was ahead of the curve, by the way.
A 50 feet of crap, and then, then you're talking. I mean, but there were even people at the time that thought Mason Rudolph might have been a first-round pick, like the 6th quarterback to be taken.
So then you look at this draft, and you go, okay, what are the chances 3 years from now that it ends up going Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, but then 3 years down the road, we're going, I would have taken Wilson. Yeah. I would take Wilson first.
Lawrence is terrific. Don't get me wrong. But, he's not a flawless prospect. I mean, he
proposed to his girlfriend already.
There's that. I mean,
decision-making is an important trait. Accuracy.
But he looked like shit against LSU in the national championship game. He threw a decent number of interceptions in the first half of last year. This year, they've got
coronavirus.
This year, he got
that's a joke.
But he looked really good yesterday against the Notre Dame defense. I would say there isn't a perfect quarterback prospect in college football, and I think Lawrence doesn't break that mold. He's the best prospect in the class.
So what you're trying to say, if I'm reading this correctly, is that this is not as terrible for the Jets.
No.
Okay. Just making
it's sure. Look, it's not good, but it's not the end of the Jets shouldn't fold up shop.
Well, I mean that's the story.
But that's like when you look at Jets fans on Twitter, or you look at Jags fans. What the Jags have a long way to go, don't they? I mean, even with Lawrence, they have some good receivers, but you still probably have to have a new head coach, right? They're thinking about getting.
Is Trevor Lawrence happy right now?
I think the Jags are further along than the Jets.
I agree, but I'm trying to put myself in Trevor Lawrence's shoes. I'm not sure if I'm happy.
Yeah. No. I mean, the weather is better, obviously, in Jacksonville, but it's not as good as Southern
When you're that
Florida.
Rich, you can buy good weather.
Yeah.
Wherever
New
going.
York would have been an endorsement. The problem is
Kai Becton is promising. You have some promising receivers
Mims
there.
And Crowder and Perriman are fine.
You're in New York. The
defense
Jags.
isn't a joke. Marcus May
is good.
Quinnen Williams is a very good player. They're probably happy they didn't trade him for peanuts at the deadline.
Adam Gase is an offensive wizard.
Yeah, stop. The Jaguars are further along as a franchise. They also probably play, this sounds silly, their division is more beatable than the AFC East because the Bills are going to be the class of that division for a long time. The Dolphins are very good, and the New England Patriots are not going anywhere anytime soon with Belichick. So that division is going to be harder to win. I think he has better chance of success in Jacksonville for sure.
I agree with you.
Their defense, they drafted a bunch of high upside players this year, many of whom have had high upside plays and things like that. The Jets, on the other hand, like Becton's a good player, Williams is a good player, but they're close to the football. Like they don't, and Mims is fine, but like they don't have a ton of players that make plays away from the football. They also don't have a pass rusher, which that just means you're gonna have to pay through the ear for one, which means you can't buy receivers the way that Buffalo has, for example.
So let me tell you who I think obviously this helps the Jags the most, but here's who I think this win/loss by the Jets today helps the most. Every team, including my San Francisco 49ers, that is hoping for a pathway to one of the other two quarterbacks, either Wilson or Fields. Because there is a world where the New York Jets convince themselves that Sam Darnold can keep this thing going, right?
Yeah.
That world does exist. Sam Darnold made some nice throws today. That has to be what would you put the chances of Sam Darnold being the quarterback in New York for the Jets next year at?
It all depends upon their internals. If they think that Fields...
What would it take for you?
For me, given the uncertainty... So I'm pro Fields. Mm-hmm. So
Same.
I would take Fields number 2.
What would it take for me, my Niners, to get you to give me the second?
Well, so let's say the Niners pick at like 12, because that like kind of looks like we're like, well, actually they might be top 10, who knows? But let's
say 10.
Let's say 10. If you gave me 10, your second round pick and a 1 the following year, I'd do it.
You have a deal. I'm doing anything to put Justin Fields in Niners.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd be great. Here's the thing, though. Like, Justin Fields has more utility. So Justin Fields and Zach Wilson and Trey Lance have more utility right now for a team like San Francisco, Minnesota, Carolina, assuming Brady stays. Those players have more utility for a team like that than they do for a rebuilding Jets team.
Right. The Jets are still going to suck.
But not only that, but the Jets don't have the pieces in place to really...
My Niners are a dynasty with Justin Fields.
But because...
He looks great in red.
Yeah, but it was also why the Garoppolo trade wasn't a terrible idea. Because a second-round pick, a big contract, he had a ton of utility to the Niners. I'll say this right now. If Garoppolo played for 15 of the other teams in the league, he'd probably suck. But he's a fine quarterback for the Niners. Maybe not good enough to do what the Niners want anymore, but he had a ton of utility for that team. That's why, for a Niners team, when you look at they traded Buckner because Eric Armstead's coming up, because Nick Bosa's coming up, because
Javon Kinlaw was there.
Well, not only that, but like you're going to lose Sherman. You're going to have to replenish the secondary. Fred Warner's probably due a contract.
Right, you can only pay so many players.
Yeah, and so if you're paying Garoppolo $30 million, it's not a cost-effective thing. If you could trade up and get one of those two guys for $10 million a season, you're back in business, especially since you still have Shanahan. You probably won't have Salah anymore, but you'll have Shanahan.
Yeah, and you have Debo and Ayuk and
Kittle. I mean, and you have the last few years of Trent Williams. You have McGlinchey and
last few years of McGlinchey.
Yeah, right. Well, on this earth at least.
Okay, so let's quickly power rank the people that are the most happy with the Jets' loss. The Jags.
The Jags and their fans. Yeah. Okay.
The Niners / all other teams that are hoping for a way into the top 2.
The Niners, Panthers, Colts. Colts are probably too good, but who knows? Like they might think about doing it. The Eagles did it a few years ago. The Vikings maybe.
The Falcons.
The Falcons maybe. Although Ryan looked. See, this is sorry. Just a rant for a second here. I hate look. Ryan looked so good today for half. Like you watch that game and you're like, why why did you turn into fucking Brown and Nagel during these other games? I bet you. We had Tampa -4. I also took a little taste of Atlanta +6, which was kind of nice at the end there when they got that fake first down to seal the game. Matt Ryan was brilliant today.
He was great.
It was unbelievable.
Against the formerly best defense in the NFL.
Right. Well, look, the best defense in the NFL is a crown. The
best defense in the NFL is the defense that just played one of the worst
Tantillo,
offenses.
can you make a crown? Like we should, like let's say week 17, we should do the PFF Forecast fake awards. So like the Vikings, best team at establishing the run.
I can't believe that was the one you chose first. I'm really shocked.
The Jets nailed their first round pick in 2017, right? Like, or 2019 with Quinnen Williams trophy, right? Like the Falcons, we're the best defense in week 8. We're the best defense in week 9. Like, I feel like that's a good bit.
I like that. That'd be a lot of fun, and it was just fun there right now.
But like he looked great today, but I do think Atlanta should someday think about moving on from him because he's frankly too inconsistent.
But they're in a good spot, right? If they wanted to move up from him, now it's open. Fields from Atlanta.
There's also a ton of teams, to your point, like Indy. Matt Ryan would do great in Indianapolis. That's
actually a great one.
San Francisco 49ers. He would do great for the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, he has done great for the 49ers.
Exactly. I mean, even. Like, I don't think he would go to Minnesota. That feels like a lateral move, as weird as that is to say. But, like, there's a ton of teams with, like, ready-made offenses that Matt Ryan could succeed in. If the Falcons wanted to sort of turn this thing around, they could, some of the teams that maybe, let's say Zach Wilson looks really good for us for the Niners, but the Niners internals don't like him. Then, they can make that move themselves and take somebody like Matt Ryan off the Falcons.
Now, this is an argument you could make that the biggest winner of this whole thing that I'm going to put in third belongs in first is Bill Belichick.
Well, my reason for making that bet was Belichick was going to lose week 17 to the Jets on purpose.
And he still might.
Although the Bengals are now eliminated for the first pick. It's literally a 2-team race because the worst they could do is 2.
I thought the Bengals could still get it.
The Bengals could be 2-13-1. Oh, that's right. So if both teams won out and the Bengals, okay, so the Bengals are still alive. But you know what I'm saying? Like
by the way, that'd be incredible. If you're the Bengals and you get the number 1 pick, what do you do?
Well, a football guy would just say take Penei Sewell.
Right.
That'd be great. He's going to be good. So why but obviously you trade the pick.
Yeah,
trade the pick. I mean, Burrow's good.
There's some question mark though. I mean, his
but enough to like obviously your risk mitigation is high, but essentially, I hate making this argument because I like taking 2 quarterbacks, but I also think Burrow has shown me enough to warrant taking a quarterback at a different time of the draft. Like I would take Brock Purdy in like round 2 if I'm the Bengals. I would take. If that's where he's taken, I would take like Mac Jones. I would take other guys. I wouldn't take a top end QB at 1 because your team stinks. You need other players, and you have a quarterback.
I think I'm taking Trevor Lawrence and seeing how things go. I think that's what I'm doing.
Do you trade Burrow then to like some?
No, I kind of want to wait. I want to see. I want him to duke it out. I don't know. That's a tough one.
That's a good question.
Okay, let's.
Belichick does win that, I think, a little bit, as he always does. He seems to want to win those things.
Okay, let's go over a couple other things from this week. Who impressed you more, Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray?
Hurts, easily.
He was pretty good today.
Yeah, Murray was fine. I mean, Murray did a good job. He also made a bunch of crappy throws. Your expectation of him was higher because he's been in that offense for a year and a half. He also has way better weapons. So Murray had a decent game. I have to look at his grade. I haven't looked at his grade.
I think he's probably going to end up grading higher.
Hurts was Deshaun Watson like today. I mean, and like I probably just have to throttle back any sort of relent. Now they lost, and they're not going to win that division in all likelihood. So it's an interesting offseason for them. If they somehow win that division, which they have the Washington breadsticks are still basically 2-1 odds, or 1-2 odds to win the division. So if let's say Philly finishes 5-10-1, they win one of the next. They don't finish with the division's best record. They have to sit out. Is that enough for Hurts to go into next season as a starter?
If they try and bring Wentz back as the starter,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, do they select another QB in the top 10?
You've got to give Jalen Hurts a shot, man.
But doesn't that? I mean, you just said with Bengals. I mean, is the difference between Lawrence? So,
what are they going to be picking?
I mean, if they win 5 games, they're probably picking what, 7th or 8th?
Right, but there's going to be no quarterback.
Oh, I think Wilson does it.
You think Wilson's there at 7 or 8? You want to make a bet? Care to make a wager? I say that Zach Wilson is picked before the 8th pick.
No, you're probably right.
Thank you.
But they could trade up for it, right?
Sure, and I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah. Well, okay, what about Trey Lance at 8? That's not enough for you.
You already drafted Carson Wentz once.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true.
Let's not.
I know, but I don't think Lawrence is that much. I don't think Burrow is that much. It's weird, right? I don't think that differential is all that big, and I don't think the differential between Hurts and any of these other guys is that big. So then the question becomes at 1, is it the same argument? I agree with you. I would go into next year with Hurts.
If Hurts had played the whole season, the Philadelphia Eagles have already clinched the NFC East.
I don't disagree.
My call.
So what would you do?
You're welcome. By the way, all of you pieces of shit who hated on me for saying Jalen Hurts was good, suck my dick.
Also the
your face there was priceless.
The Eagles being the most overrated team in football was pretty funny, given that given that it was just that Carson Wentz was the biggest dumpster fire in football. Well, we got shit on for saying that Carson Wentz was worse than Daniel Jones, which it feels like is now just a damning Daniel Jones with faint praise. But so if you're the Darnold, by the way, at 84 grade, do you if you're the Eagles, who do you take as your backup? Let's assume they don't draft anybody. Do you pick up, because I think you do you pick up Dwayne Haskins? Do you pick up Sam Darnold? Do you pick up?
I would pick up Darnold.
Do you pick up Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton maybe not, but do you take one of these kind of bust quarterbacks to sit behind Hurts?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a huge proponent of taking.
I would even pick up Nick Mullins, the Niners.
You know who I was going to say, and he's not available, I guess technically, but Gardner Minshew would be.
Well, Gardner Minshew will probably be available, right? Because he's good. It's sort of like Kyle Allen, right? The breadsticks, they get Alex Smith, they get Dwayne Haskins. They want that backup, that veteran guy that knows the coach.
Yep.
And I think with the Jags, it's going to be Lawrence and Luton, and maybe Glennon, and they're going to get Minshew for a 5th, right? Kyle Allen went for a fucking 5th last year. You think the Jaguars aren't going to want to pick up a 5th round pick for a guy they're not playing?
I mean, I'd rather have the 5th round pick. I will say this. So Jalen Hurts was very impressive. I was also really impressed with Kyler Murray. Now, I'm not going overboard because the Eagles could not cover anybody, and that was very clear. People were running wide open. But he looked healthy to me for the first time in a little while, and that's a big deal because this team, when Kyler Murray is healthy, is not. Their average performance is not really outstanding. You're not going, oh wow, they're a top 7 team in the NFL, but they can reach a level where you go, oh shit, they could beat anyone in the right situation. Yeah. That's how good Kyler Murray is, and that's how good DeAndre Hopkins is. He's fucking. I still can't believe that.
So the leaders this week in turnover worthy plays: Nick Mullins 5, Jalen Hurts 4, Drew Brees 4, Drew Lock 3, Patrick Mahomes 3.
Pending review.
But so Hurts gave as much as he got.
Well, but those were fumbles too.
Right. He also took 6 sacks a week after only taking 0. There was but like the pluses were there, right? It was sort of
He hit Dallas Goedert in the hands on 4th and 21 and 3rd and 21 on back-to-back plays.
It was sort of it was a very Deshaun Watson rookie season type of game where he didn't grade that well, but he made enough plus plays where you're like, holy shit, this guy's got talent.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert. There's a joke.
He also had a drop on like one that was not great, but
okay. You mentioned Mahomes. Are you concerned about Mahomes and the Chiefs only winning by 3 in New Orleans?
No. I mean, the Demarcus Robinson play was a fucking joke.
It was really bad. But the Patrick Mahomes play there at the end of the game was not great either. The fumble was really bad.
I mean, look, I'll say this. New Orleans defense played pretty well. I mean, they put a lot of pressure on Mahomes.
Yeah, he's no Jalen Hurts.
They put a lot of pressure on him. He averaged less than 5 yards a pass attempt. If you include no plays, I'm not putting that filter out. But like they and the Chiefs still scored 32 points. Like it was a workmanlike effort by that offense, and they had to grind it out. Now they're a team, like I said this before we went on air. They were 8-0 on the road this year. The combined record of their opponents on the road was something like 48 and the non-division. So there was 48 and 22 is the combined record of who they play on the road this year. Was Buffalo, which they won, Baltimore, which they won, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and Miami are the 5 non-divisional games they played. They also swept their AFC West opponents who aren't very good. But those 5 games, now they covered against Buffalo, they covered against Baltimore. They failed to cover Tampa. They pushed against New Orleans, and then obviously Miami. They would have covered if not for the backdoor field goal. Like I still would say they've exceeded expectations in most cases. Yeah. The games that they're playing, they're getting the other team's best effort. Now, maybe not the best technical. Like Breeze wasn't his best today, but the Saints gave their best defensive game plan, I would say. And they were without. Obviously, they're on their 3rd string right tackle. Stefan Wisniewski is playing right guard. He was on the street like a month ago.
Yep. No.
I mean, there's a decent amount of excuses you can make for the Chiefs. I'm not that concerned.
Not Michael Thomas.
Right. I mean, and the Chiefs shut them down for most of the first half of the game. There was only the one touchdown that they had, which was after a deep shot.
The Chiefs winning a football game in the first half kind of worries me. I'm not going to lie.
So you're worried if they get a bye here, right?
I'm not worried.
Okay.
I'm not worried. I was asking if you were.
Like they have home games now against Chargers and the Falcons. The Chargers game is meaningful because it's a AFC game. The Falcons game not so much, but I mean they're basically a 95% to get the 1 seed.
There's no team in the AFC that's giving the Chiefs a hard time. I'm sorry. And the Bills are the second best team in the AFC, and they have been for a few weeks. And that's saying something about the Bills, but also saying something about the rest of the AFC, which is just not very good. The Titans are fine. No, Derrick Henry should not be the MVP or close to the MVP. He's a fantastic running back, whatever.
Tannehill's also still playing very well, by the way.
Tannehill played very well today. Yeah. The Ravens are playing well, but you're not worried about them when they play the Chiefs at all. If you go to the other side of the thing, the Saints are probably the best team in the NFC. I think I would go Packers after that. And then I guess Seahawks. The Rams obviously are not who people thought they were, surprisingly.
The Rams are Uncle Jekyll and Hyde, right? Like they
lost to the Jets. That's incredible. All right. Any other takeaways from this week? Are you ready to roll?
No, I think that there's a lot of opportunity this week.
I have one more takeaway. Aqib Talib was awesome as a color commentator. If you didn't watch any of Philly, Arizona, the first couple of plays, I'm watching the game like, who the hell is the color guy here? And they finally show a picture of him. He's wearing the most outlandish suit on the planet. It kind of takes him a few series to get into it.
He didn't fuck up the players' names.
No.
He knew exactly what he was talking about.
He told it like it was.
He was authentic. And some people have a problem with people who are genuinely themselves in a public setting. He was great.
So not only was he 100% himself, which for Aqib Talib is awesome for everyone listening, but here's the cool thing. He is very knowledgeable about the passing game and about coverage. And that's really useful for someone watching the game who wants to know about what the quarterback might be thinking, what they're looking at, and can evaluate throws that quarterbacks are making and what receivers and corners are doing, which I feel like a lot of times the quarterbacks who are calling the games, aren't doing as good of a job with. So I thought he was phenomenal. I want more Aqib.
There's also part of like
put him on. How the fuck are we still listening to Brian Greasy and Louis Riddick poop all over themselves while Steve Levy tries to clean it up, slips, falls, and breaks himself? Put Aqib Talib on.
The 3-person booth is a hard thing to pull off. I think some of that is, and our boss Chris said that at one point when he was in the. I think that contributes to Monday Night Football not maybe being as good. I think individually those guys would be better, but there's also like a level of
there's fucking stale toast.
There's also a level of energy and authenticity and being relatively close to having played the game, because Aqib Talib played like 2 years ago. That makes it refreshing what Aqib Talib's doing.
Give me a player off the top of your head that you think would be really good in the booth that maybe people aren't.
Well, no, I mean, we've already seen it. Pat McAfee was equally good when he did that. Good. In the Week 17,
here's the problem with McAfee. Okay. He can't talk about, like, Aqib Talib was really being insightful, and I think McAfee would be more entertaining.
Well, so 2018, Week 17, he did Packers-Lions because the networks had to go to like their 5th and 6th, because I think that year there wasn't Sunday Night Football maybe, and they had an extra game. And he was awesome.
You think McAfee could do the play-by-play?
I mean, maybe. Here's the thing. They also have to normalize gambling on these, so that, because he's great. He was doing like midweek college football last year, and he's great at like insinuating in an Al Michaels way. He understands
McAfee is?
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't really insinuating. He was just talking about it blatantly. But yeah.
But he didn't talk about the number. Like he's not as sly as Al is. Yeah. But
I mean, he wasn't trying to be, though. That was kind of my point.
I think authenticity is great. I think the issue sometimes with some broadcasters is that they're too serious when it's a lot of fun. If you're not going to be the best, like Chris and Al and Tirico and even like Aikman, Buck, all those,
right?
Like
Lance Romo, the whole deal.
You have to bring something that we don't get anywhere else, and most of the time it's like Gus Johnson. Like, look, the guy. I'm not gonna say he's clown's the wrong word, but the guy's having fun. He's fucking around, and that's awesome. Like
he's genuinely passionate about it.
That's what you do. I mean, and I think Talib brought that today, and it was a great game. That was the other thing. Like, honest to God, it's just so sad to see such a shit game on Sunday Night Football, because you sort of end up getting the best broadcasters on kind of like these worst games. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna throw one out there. I think Ed Reed would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ed Reed would be good. I think Richard Sherman will be really good.
Yep.
All right. Week 16. Here we go. We have a Christmas Eve game. Minnesota at New Orleans. I have the New Orleans Saints as a 7-point favorite.
I said 6.5. You're right, though. 7.
I went back and forth. I had 6.5.
It is.
And I changed it to 7. The reason I changed it to 7 was that I felt I was anchoring on the fact that Minnesota beat them in the playoffs last year.
Minnesota has the offense to keep up with New Orleans.
They do.
If New Orleans is reeling because of a lack of Michael Thomas, that could be a problem. The problem is the Vikings defense is terrible.
I mean, Mitch Trubisky looked good today.
Mitch Trubisky's 5-0 in his last 5 starts against the Vikings. I mean, it's comical. And they move the ball at will. I remember messaging either you or Ben or somebody like, the Vikings cannot stop the Bears. Like, it's crazy. Think about how malpractice it was for them to start Foles for like half a year. Trubisky was garbage, but like at least he's fun garbage. Foles was like.
You think the Bears would try and trade up in the draft?
I mean, I think you have to, but they don't have enough good players or good picks, right? Like,
God, they're in a really shitty.
They're in a shitty position, yeah, for sure. Unfortunate.
They could just get a good quarterback, but
I mean, Trubisky though, like, look, if you try, if you like, this is the thing I don't understand. Like, Trubisky's not good, but like, how much worse is Trubisky than Baker? How much worse is Trubisky than
decently?
How much worse is Trubisky than
Trubisky is inaccurate.
Yes, but like
Baker Mayfield is accurate. That is just a
but not all the time. Like, I mean,
well, no one's accurate all the time.
Yeah.
Your boy
Like,
Patrick Mahomes is inaccurate
but
all the
Nagy,
time.
I mean, Nagy coached up Trubisky to have a passable season once, and he just seems disinterested in doing so right now. Yeah. Like, I don't get it. Like,
We'll have to ask him about it. I think if I had to take one side of that game, though, I would take Minnesota.
I'm not laying this kind of price with Breeze and his noodle. I'm just not. I can't.
He had a nice throw. He loaded up and threw it
that to
downfield.
cover. Well, to push.
I got to say this about watching that New Orleans Kansas City game. Kansas City should have won that by a lot more.
Yeah. Well, that's every game.
And
kind of fuck around.
I just am not. I'm not sold on New Orleans. Tampa Bay. Okay, so Saturday we have 3 games. One of them, by the way, is only on Amazon Prime Video. That's the middle game. The first game on Saturday is Tampa Bay, Detroit. It's in Detroit. I said Detroit would be 6.5 point underdog.
I said 9.5 point underdog. I also included kind of like a maybe Stafford plays type of thing.
I have Stafford playing. To me, I looked at this game and I go, oh, I watched this game today.
Yeah, it's 7, but loaded on the Bucks though, minus 120.
So the market has a decidedly worse opinion of the Lions than they do the Falcons, which I think is interesting because they're the same team to me. What's the difference between the Falcons without Julio Jones and the Lions without Kenny Galladay?
Calvin Ridley's better than Marvin Jones.
Well, sure, but is that worth getting across 7 for?
I'm not taking Detroit. Like, if that's what you're getting at.
It's kind of what I'm getting at.
I would tease Tampa Bay down to 1. I would tease the Saints down to 1. That to me is your holiday teaser. Although there's another leg that is accompanying this.
Let's keep going. I'm not sold. I'm not sold by Tampa Bay. I know that Tom Brady came back against Atlanta once again. I get it. The whole narrative. I understand it.
No, Tampa Bay is certainly a flawed team. They're not a team I really want to back in the playoffs. Although they're going to get Washington football team, right? If they hold on here, the Bears win out and they lose out, they'll lose that spot. But like, we're gonna have to see the Bears in the playoffs. By the way, dude, like for the second time, Trubisky's gonna start another playoff.
I can't wait to bet against the Chicago Bears in the playoffs. Okay, next game. San Francisco.
So New Orleans -1, Tampa -1. If you're into the favorites, those are 2 teaser legs that you might want.
I don't feel good about that.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not there yet. San Francisco at Arizona. I had Arizona as a 6-point favorite.
I said 6.5, and I think we've come across our first bet of the week because it's 3.5.
Holy shit.
Who's starting for the Niners? Is it Beathard? Is it Hail Mary Beathard?
I don't know.
Is it
okay,
is
so
Jimmy
why
G
is
starting?
this number this way?
I think people
it's in the division.
It's a neutral site game now that San Francisco is acclimated to Arizona. Other than that, I don't get it. I mean, the Cardinals defense isn't very good, but the Niners, like, no Debo, right? Is Debo out-ish?
I think
he didn't play today, right?
Yeah, he didn't play today, but I think he could come back.
3 is -115. 3.5, I'm sorry, for Arizona. I mean, that to me is something I might want to think about.
You know, it's funny. I was debating between. I had it all the way down to 4.5, then it went 5.5, then it went 6. That's interesting. 3.5. Okay. Like I said, I thought Kyler Murray today looked as good as he did earlier in the season, if not better.
Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, it's going to be really hard for anybody to beat, or for bad teams to beat Arizona.
Yeah, and San Francisco, I mean, I know they're going to try and win this game, but Arizona obviously more motivated than
Arizona has the Niners and then the Rams are their last week, right? They're at Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's tricky. It's not clear to me that Arizona's going to make the playoffs. Chicago has Jacksonville this week, as we're going to talk about, and then they play home to Green Bay. That game might be meaningless, actually. If Green Bay wins next week, they have the 1 seed sewn up. So Chicago actually, now we've already seen this happen before, where like you might see just Green Bay out of spite try to beat the Chicago out of the playoffs because they're rivals or whatever. But the Arizona Cardinals, to make the playoffs, I think comfortably, they have to win the next 2 games.
They have to win.
It starts, and so maybe there's some hashtag motivation there. I don't know. I like Arizona -3.5.
I can get on board with that. Miami in Las Vegas. This is actually a much more interesting game with Mariota.
Yeah,
Mariota and Tua. Mariota looked very, very good. Graded really well. And Miami, I think we were worried about that bet because we wrote that up last week. And the reason we wrote it up was because the Patriots suck offensively.
Yeah, well, the number moved away from us. I mean, Miami
because of all their injuries.
Yeah, Miami ended up being an underdog, and that the Dolphins were a team that had lived off of turnovers and touchdowns, and they got one, and it got called back with a fluky penalty. So it's starting to think of, is the variance monster going to hit them? They're down 6-0 at halftime.
Oh nope! Turns out the Patriots couldn't throw the ball to save their lives.
Yeah, so
I have Vegas and Miami with Mariota as a pick.
Yeah, well, so what did I have? I had Vegas -2.5 at home.
Oh, interesting. With Mariota.
Well, yeah. I mean, Mariota's spunky.
Yeah, okay.
But it's actually Miami's +2.5. Miami's 2.5 point favorites, which makes Vegas +8.5 a teaser leg that you need. You might have to invest in.
Now, here's the motivation, though, on this side of things. The Raiders are toasted.
They're not. They're not though. They have and Gruden is going to want a 500 record, right?
Aren't you terrified about Mariota against Brian Flores, though?
Of course, but 8.5. I mean, these games. What's the total on this game? We're not talking about a big total, right? 48. Feels like an under game to me. I mean,
yeah, absolutely, 48.
Yeah, because the Dolphins slow the thing down to Tua might black out in this game because the Raiders defense is just atrocity.
So bad. Yeah, it's a great game.
Slump buster. Yeah,
great game for Tua. Okay,
8.5 is a thought, I would say, as a teaser for the Vegas Raiders.
I mean, I think
at home.
Look, Saturday teaser is something you need to have. You can tease Tampa Bay down to 1, Las Vegas up to 8.5.
We gonna write that up?
We could.
All right, so we're gonna call that Saturday teaser special,
buddy. All right. We moved to Sunday, and so now we're going to go Sunday. We're going to talk about the good games first. The first good game on the slate is Indy-Pittsburgh. This is in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh obviously plays tomorrow here against the Cincinnati Bungholes. I have Pittsburgh as a 2.5 point favorite at home against Indy.
I nailed it as well, 2.5. And that's what it is, which makes Indy +8.5. Another good teaser leg.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I have nothing really else to say about this other than I wonder if how do you think people viewed their win against Houston today?
I mean, it's the same win they had against Houston.
Exactly. That was our whole premise on that game.
Indy, I think the familiarity there, plus playing, look, the quarterback that Houston has is twice as good as the quarterback that Pittsburgh has.
Yep.
So it's a tougher bit there.
Absolutely. All right. Next good game that we have. And there are only a few here, unfortunately. I guess we can put this one in here. It's your Chiefs. We'll just put them in here. Screw it. Atlanta goes to Kansas City. What's the total on this game? $1 million?
$1 million. Yeah, I mean, outdoors in Kansas City, winter weather, 53.5. Holy buckets.
Okay, I have Kansas City favored by 12.5.
I have 11.5 because I bet it early in the week. It's actually 11 even money. So people are betting Atlanta.
Yeah, well, because Kansas City hasn't covered a game in forever.
And this isn't important to Kansas City.
Yeah.
So if Pittsburgh wins out and Kansas City goes win-loss, I'm trying to think of what happens. I do think Kansas City still
I think so.
wins because of the Buffalo
The common opponent.
But so Kansas City doesn't need this game. Never mind. All right, lay it with Kansas City. But to our grave, lay it with Kansas City.
Yeah. Fuck. That scares me. Okay. We move onward to. Man, there aren't as many games as I'd hoped.
No, there's a good one. So it's Rams Seahawks, right?
No, I'm trying to bring some more in here. I know that Rams Seahawks is a good game. Thank you for enlightening me to a game that determines the
team that
division
lost to the Jets versus a team that.
Okay, we'll save the other one for next because I don't think it belongs there. Rams Seahawks in Seattle. Rams fresh off the most embarrassing loss. By the way, this morning I said Jets -3 was a good pick, and
pushed.
Close. That was close.
Pushed. I took
got this?
Seattle -2.5.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I have Seattle -3.
It's 2.5, which makes LA, I think, a great teaser at +8.5.
Yeah, I could definitely see LA winning this game.
Yeah, they won the previous matchup pretty handily, right? And like it was
today, in hindsight, should have been a very clear look ahead.
The Jets +17 was a great bet because the Rams were fucking around and like they had.
What is the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, a sandwich game.
No,
Look ahead spot.
no one calls it a sandwich game. What is it called? How am I blanking on
A look
this?
ahead spot.
No. Trap game.
Trap game. They're all dumb ways to describe games.
Sandwich
anyway.
game.
It's a sandwich between two big
I
games.
could use a good little sandwich.
I mean, fuck. That
What's
might
the
be.
you have to order a sandwich?
Turkey.
What do you go? Turkey. Interesting.
Yeah. Turkey, lettuce.
Turkey and lettuce.
Yeah, some
do you
pickles.
put some cheese
Pickles are
on there?
amazing. No, I don't eat cheese.
Oh, that's right. What kind of bread?
Any kind of bread.
Really?
It really doesn't matter. Although I found out the Subway bread that I grew up on because I grew up it's all sugar.
Yeah, it's really terrible for you.
You shouldn't do it. I haven't had Subway in like years, but I remember that. I sort of felt betrayed. It was like
I really wish there was a way for me to go back and find out how much of the food I consumed in college was either Subway, In-N-Out, or this one pizza place called The Good Pizza, which I think it might be
Was it
close
the
to
Good Pizza?
It was very, very good. They had a pizza that had barbecue chicken and French fries on it.
Wow.
And it was really, really good. They also had a lobster ravioli. It was very good. See, I think that might be 95% of the food I ate.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have any money in college.
And the rest of it was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at 2:30 in the morning. Okay. I like the Rams as a teaser, especially because everyone is on. I saw this on Twitter somewhere. It was like the Seahawks defense has finally figured it out. Bullshit.
That is
every time you see someone getting on board with this defense has figured it out, just fade that.
Fire it to the sun. You said the other day
Joe
your
Judge
drug of
Giants
choice
defense.
is the Chargers trying to win a football game. My drug of choice is people talking about how good a defense is.
Yeah,
honestly,
pretty great.
I can't.
It's pretty beautiful. Okay, Sunday Night Football is a very good game. It is the Tennessee Titans at the Green Bay Packers. This is, I will just build it up for you right now, okay? The intro to Sunday Night Football is going to be the game that decides the MVP race. Will it be Derrick Henry or will it be Aaron Rodgers? Are you ready for that?
Patrick Mahomes will have come off 500 yards against the Falcons, by the way. And
Derrick Henry's going to rumble and stumble.
There are
and
people I
bumble.
respect who think Derrick Henry, if he breaks the rushing record, should win the MVP.
Should, or they think will.
Should as like a point. It was said to me, and again, this is somebody I really like and respect. Said it
Which
to
is
me.
why you're not giving their name out. You'll tell me later, and I'll laugh.
Said to me,
I'm gonna try and guess
that not only
can you not talk about Evan Silva behind his back?
if he goes 200 yards the next 3 games, he should win. If you break the rushing record, you win the MVP. It's like like Genesis 4:3.
Isn't that the one I thought that was the chapter where Drew Brees gives his rib to Eve.
Yeah, but then Eve gave it back today, I think.
Was that part of the Advocare convention?
I don't know. I don't know. Was it pre or post anthem? I don't know.
Okay. I have Green Bay favored by 3 points.
I said 4.5. It is 4. I do think Tennessee +4 is a good bet.
Yes.
Okay, so let's put that down. Even though I'm wrong, I'm talking myself into this matchup here because Derrick Henry might run for 1,000,000 yards, but also it does look like they're starting to figure out that Tannehill deserves to throw the football. And like the Packers are a very flawed team.
Which of these teams?
Although Rodgers might not punt against Tennessee's defense. Tennessee's defense is
What's
garbage.
the total on this game?
That's a good one. 55.5. Jesus, that's a haul. Especially given how slow the Titans are and how much the Packers try to like copy the Titans basically on their offense. They just have a much better quarterback. In theory, although Tannehill's played really well this year.
Could you make an argument that these teams are basically the same team, except that Aaron Rodgers is
to Derrick Henry as the quarterbacks for the Titans are to the running backs of the Packers? Yes.
My brain is in a pretzel right now. No, just that these are basically the same team, except that Aaron Rodgers is definitely better than Ryan Tannehill.
Well, and Derrick Henry's definitely better than Aaron Jones and the running backs that Green Bay has. So if that's the case,
yes, sort of, kind of, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but Aaron Jones is
Jones is good.
Aaron Jones
is good.
Is awesome when he gets opportunities. Ryan Tannehill is awesome when he gets opportunities. But the fundamentally better player at each position group is Henry and Rodgers. I'm more confident in the Rodgers statement than I am the Henry statement because Henry plays running back.
Right. Well, and the quarterback just matters more. But I'm not sure.
Not the way the Titans use it.
Do you
not
think,
the way the Titans.
What's the point? How many points better is Rodgers than Tannehill?
Probably 4.
So that's the spread. Okay,
maybe, yeah.
I can get. That's what I thought about when I was.
So should we not write it up then? Should we not bet Tennessee?
I'm struggling with it. I think 3, 4. Like I ended up on 3 because I think Ryan Tannehill's very good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I'd be
Rodgers,
willing to take a flyer on Tennessee +4.
Aaron Rodgers passed for 178 yards against the Carolina
Panthers. And the Panthers' defense is of the same level of garbaginess as the Titans' defense.
It's not good.
Like, here's the question. Does it really matter if you have a pass rush against Green Bay?
That's actually a good
because
take.
Green Bay will neutralize basically any pass rush in football. So the fact that the Titans don't have a pass rush, are they really missing out on anything?
Maybe Vrabel suits up.
Yeah, he was a decent edge in his day.
All right, Monday Night Football, Buffalo at New England.
I had Buffalo -6.5.
Holy shit. I did not. I had Buffalo -4.
It's 6.5, and Buffalo is a teaser leg for me, -0.5 point.
Yeah, I like that more. I like being able to tease them more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing other to say than so Stephon Gilmore is out with an injury. It looks like it was non-contact. I have no idea if.
Oh, I didn't see that part of the game.
Which is not great. Buffalo obviously coming off long rest. New England now out of the playoffs. But there's definitely going to be a New England wants to beat Buffalo here. Like, I refuse.
They did the other day too.
You know, I refuse to believe that New England's just going to lay down in this game. So I think it's a good teaser leg. I do think there's a little bit of, Belichick's going to do everything he can here to slow this game down and make it a slog. Okay, those were the good games. We now move on to the not so good games, and that brings us. This is an interesting game because it has, we think, Jalen Hurts starting, but
I actually have assuming Hurts here just to be funny.
Can you? So the joke is stemming from Doug Peterson said after the game that he will be making a decision tomorrow. That's today on Monday, but he said this on Sunday. He will be making the decision the following day on which quarterback will be starting for them. My take on that is that he said that because if he didn't, Carson Wentz was going to be on suicide watch for the entirety of their flight back to Philadelphia, and he didn't want to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, if Wentz is like, Wentz has to read the room here, doesn't he? I mean, for fuck's sake.
He can't dress himself. So how do you expect this guy to read the room? I honestly think that Carson Wentz is just like a disaster, like a hopeless case. They're going to make a documentary about how the Eagles were fooled by Carson Wentz.
I hope not. I mean, we have seen this before. I mean, when Nick Foles left the St. Louis Rams, he went to Kansas City, and the legend is that he couldn't even throw a swing pass, and Andy Reid had to rehabilitate this young colt off of the floor and turn him into a quarterback who was a backup and then eventually a Super Bowl winning backup. And if you're that fragile of a mind, to me, man. I mean, because look, I'll take for example, I watch a ton of the NFL films on the Chiefs Super Bowl run, right? And I think one of the coolest segments of that was in the AFC Championship game when it was clear the Titans weren't going to win. And Marcus Mariota went up to Ryan Tannehill and said, "Look, man, you're going to be back. You did great this year." And it's yeah, Mariota played like shit last year and got benched, and some guy took his spot and made and earned a spot in the Pro Bowl. And you can be a little bitch about it, or you can face facts and say, look, Ryan took my job and played better than I did, and I hope he does well. The next place I'm going to go, I'm going to try to ball out. Or you can complain and whine about it. But there's, to me, right? He's not the first quarterback that's ever been benched. Drew Brees was benched in San Diego for fucking...
Joe Montana was benched. Get over yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's my take. You have to face facts. You have failure in life,
I think
man.
Carson Wentz, if he continues up this joke, is
out of the league in 2 years.
That's the thing. No one wants to deal with this bullshit. It's very clear just from watching the Philadelphia Eagles play football that Jalen Hurts is way, 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 way better of a leader than Carson Wentz was. And that's a scary thing for someone that's going to bring in a guy like Carson Wentz.
How did he let this happen? You were literally carrying a team. Last season, he was the only mainstay on that offense. Everything, and granted, they weren't good, but he threw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns or whatever, and like took a team to the playoffs. No business being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
How did you let you're telling me one game against Washington football team started this? Are you on this path?
Hey, one trip to Washington's all it takes sometimes. I have this as a pick.
I said Dallas 2.5. You were actually right. It is a pick.
That's the right way to go.
Dallas is a lot better. We're starting to see what Dallas can do with weapons.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should bet Dallas.
Tony
I'm just
Pollard.
saying,
By the way, I'm in a conundrum this week in my championship.
I lost, by the way.
In my championship in fantasy. Okay, you want to hear a story? I'll tell the story. Okay, so this morning, I'm deciding between Jalen Hurts and Ryan Tannehill. So I come in, and we're about to do the live show, and I ask both Eric and Ian Hartitz. They both go, you got to go with Jalen Hurts. I ask my buddy Ross, he goes, yeah, you got to go. Like, Hurts has a chance to give you 30 points. So we're like an hour into the games. Ryan Tannehill's scampering for his second rushing touchdown. He goes Superman into the end zone, and I am in a pit of misery, in absolute depths of despair. That's how bad it is. My voice is cracking. And my other quarterback is Kyler Murray. So I have both Kyler and Jalen. The game starts out kind of slow. I'm fucking pissed. Of course, it ends up that Jalen Hurts has 37 points. He even outscored Tannehill, I think. And Kyler Murray was amazing. But now this week, I have Kyler Murray on Saturday against San Francisco. I have Jalen Hurts against Dallas. And then I have Ryan Tannehill against Green Bay. So, yeah, please. Everyone loves hearing about my fantasy team.
It's okay.
Let's go to, man, there are not a lot of other good games here. Which ones have playoff implication? I guess Carolina-Washington does.
Yeah. What do you have the spread for that game?
So this was interesting. I am assuming that Haskins plays again. Is that correct?
I don't know, man.
If Haskins plays, I think this should be a pick.
I said Washington -4.5. It's 2.5, so it's right smack in the middle.
Wow. With Haskins? Were people encouraged by that performance?
I mean, there's this logic pretzel that you can twist yourself in and say, look, if his turnover-worthy plays were not all turnovers, they probably win that game. There's also the Alex Smith thing. There's also the fact that the smock it might find a way for them to lose the game.
Do you think is Art Schmock Matt Rule, is he rethinking his brainiac decision to kick a field goal on first down?
Well, I know like Brian Burke tweeted out that he liked it, although I think his math was ignoring the difference between 7 and 8, which is not trivial at all. Our numbers said
2-point conversion
it was a 1.5% win probability loss. Deck Prism Sports, which is a fairly sharp group that provides live odds for people, said it was a 1% dip. I mean, the fact of the matter is,
which by the way matters when you only have.
They were at like 5% win probability in our model, and they were like 3% for the other ones. I mean, the issue is.
So people's logic, by the way, to set the table, the people that are complaining about how analytics are stupid are saying, look, the reason you kick there is because it's before the 2-minute warning, you have one timeout, and the only shot you have of getting the ball back without an onside kick is if you somehow score either field goal or touchdown before the 2-minute warning.
Yeah. Let's throw the big elephant in the room out there. A lot of people like to play because they had Carolina plus 8.5. Mm-hmm. That's clouding a decent amount of people's judgment. Our model liked Carolina plus 8.5, by the way, on close. So I'm ignoring that part. The thing about it is
you play to win the game.
You play to win the game, and you are not down one score. You are down one score 50% of the time and two scores 50% of the time. The other thing, and this was part of what Burke's write-up was, and I kind of the closer you are to the end zone, the dumber the decision is. Yep. The conditional. Here's the thing: modern kickers, it's so much easier for you to get into field goal range. You don't need all that time to get into field goal range. You need all that time, especially when your quarterback is the noodle arm Teddy Bridgewater, to score a touchdown.
Especially when the other team
Well, and there's even the secondary part of it, which both teams. So the Packers fucked this up last night. The Chiefs fucked it up today. When they do the whole pooch kick thing before the 2-minute warning and it lands for you to return it, you return the ball. The Panthers kicked the ball, I believe. I have to go back and watch. But the Packers should have been running that ball out of the end zone.
No, I think the Panthers kicked it through the end zone.
So it went through.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's also part of the calculus. It's not actually trivial that you will kick it through. I know for the Saints, they kicked the ball and it bounced inside the 5, and McCole Hardman let it bounce into the end zone, as opposed to taking it, running the 6 seconds off, and ridding New Orleans of the timeout that they thought they had. That's a non-trivial part. The other non-trivial part is a 33-yard field goal is not a gimme. The conditional, first off, the chance you're going to get to the 15 again with Teddy Bridgewater is lower than average quarterback. But the other part is the chance that you're going to actually be able to drive length of field, get a touchdown and a 2 is so small. The onside kick actually becomes practical.
Yes, you're completely right. Here's what I'll say. The last thing I'll say, I think kicking the field goal before that was the more egregious one.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's the same logic. The chance you're going to get inside the 5 again.
You got to get it to a 1-score game. Well, kind of 1 score.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's so stupid.
The problem is, and I think Rule is in this territory. He's playing for respectability. You can say I lost to the 1 seed by 1 score.
While coaching is probably doing that. Yeah. If you were, who would you rather have be your head coach right now, Matt Rule or Joe Brady?
Well, Brady. Yeah, Brady has the has the goods.
It's going to be the Falcons all over again. Okay, moving right along. So, by the way, that was 2.5.
So here's one that has playoff implications, right? Chicago, Jacksonville.
Yep, that was the next one on the list. I have Jacksonville getting 6.5 points.
It's 7.5, and I think I had it at 7.5. It is 7.5 now. Bears minus 1.5 is a teaser that you have to play. I mean, there's no way Jacksonville's winning this game.
No chance. Jacksonville's not stupid enough to fuck this up.
So here are some three proposed teasers right now. Tampa minus 1, LV plus 8.5, Indy plus 8.5, LA plus 8.5, Chicago minus 1.5, Buffalo minus 0.5. Those 3, I think, are fairly good teasers to have.
They're eligible
for week 16.
They're in play. Okay. I think this may also be a teaser leg. We'll see. Cincy at Houston.
I have Houston minus 6.5.
Okay. I have Houston minus 7.5. Is there no line yet?
No, well, I think it's quarterback issues, right? So like Ryan Finley's starting
Who knows?
tonight, tomorrow night, whatever.
Because I like Houston as a teaser.
If you can get that number, for sure. Mm-hmm. Although Houston's kind of a mess.
Deshaun Watson, man, what a wasted season.
Yeah.
Like, how often does a guy grade that well? I mean, he's been legitimately a top 5 quarterback the entire year, top 3.
Right.
And that team has been an absolute disaster. If they have DeAndre Hopkins, they're easily in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
God, it's so bad. Ah, man. If they have DeAndre Hopkins, they've beaten the Colts twice, right? Like,
Well, they wouldn't have fired their head coach by now. I mean, and there's an argument to be made that moving on from Bill O'Brien was probably a smart move. There's also an argument to be made that Bill O'Brien's won a number of AFC South titles and is not as bad of a head coach as he was a GM.
right, better head coach than GM, which is not a high bar. Okay, Giants, Baltimore. Joe Judge, coach of the year.
Giants making it to 5-10 is just a hater thing to say. PFF hating again on the New York Football Giants. I said 13.5.
I had 12.5.
I mean, it's not up right
it's
now.
It's not up because of the quarterback.
Oh, because I said assuming McCoy, but it really doesn't matter.
Who cares?
I mean,
They both
McCoy did such a great job of calling audibles tonight.
He did. It had not been for the audibles, they wouldn't have gotten all 6 of those points.
So Colt McCoy tonight reminded me of you ever been bowling and there's a guy in the group that has like one of those wrist guards and like his own
brings
ball.
his own ball.
It brings his own ball. And like every single and the guy rolls like a 170 and you're like, you fucking suck. And you try hard too. Like you're egregious. You just need to throw it straight like me because you're gonna get the same outcome.
Yeah.
And you like, look, Haskins sucks, but at least he's not up there wasting my fucking time calling all these audibles. Like
The dude
that
is
game
like,
was horrible.
The dude is telling me about like the oil fucking strips in
and
the
it's
lane.
like you're ass at this.
Go buy another pitcher,
that
buddy.
Game, dude, Tirico and Chris are sitting there like, Jesus, would the guy just snap the fucking ball? That game, there was like 14 plays in that game.
I thought Kitchens did a good job.
Yeah, it's a different language. To be fair, though, offense is Chinese to Freddie Kitchens.
Well, and Kitchens will eat any kind of Chinese food.
That's true. That's the one thing me and Kitchens have in common. We love egg rolls.
That's true. Shit. Cleveland plays the Jets.
Oh.
In New York.
I think the Jets will leverage their
their newfound success.
I don't see this. I said it would be 11.5.
Yeah, I had 12.5.
I don't see it up. I mean, I don't care. I don't care about this.
God, just these games.
Cleveland was a couple bounces away from not covering tonight. It was kind of, I don't know. It was a bigger sweat than it really needed to be. Let's be honest.
The Giants play hard.
Yeah, look. If Joe Judge could find people who were technically good at their job to call plays on offense and defense, and Daniel Jones was healthy, and
that would have been a good game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you there. Denver plays the Chargers.
I said Chargers minus 3.5.
Who's the quarterback in Denver next year?
So Shermer is the coordinator, probably. They've already had Keenum. They don't want him anymore. Who's another Shermer? Bradford retired. I'm going through the Shermer quarterbacks. Is it Darnold?
Maybe.
It's not Ryan because Ryan's not throwing that.
I think Darnold's a
in
legit possibility. I think they're a team that should. Look
Jimmy G.
Yeah, maybe.
Jimmy G could succeed with those targets. With those
absolutely.
The talent.
Like no one could be as terrible as what they have right now.
Yeah.
Drew Lock is not very good.
Oh, I thought that the Buffalo -6 was a square. It was a sandwich game.
Very square.
A square
play.
spot.
It was a lock. It turns out.
Yeah.
I had the Chargers favored by 3.5.
It's -3, -125. So we're basically on market there.
I can't take the Chargers to win a football game. I'm sorry.
I can't. I mean, you can't have them laying fucking points. They lost to this team already because they did the whole. There's 2 teams that have lost by kicking the field goal to go up 6 this year. Chargers happen to be one of them. Of course they were.
Of course.
And also the Panthers. Art Smock. Mr. Arts. Remember, we don't even, dude, did we let this pass over our heads? The Art Smock, up 3, Chad Beebe fumbles inside of his own 10. Art Smock goes run, pass, kick field goal, go up 6. Kirk Cousins drives the length of the field and he scores.
The schmuck.
The schmuck. Oh, my God.
That is it for week 16. I had a blast on this podcast. It's been a fun year. I'm excited.
We just have 2 more weeks left.
Just 2 more regular season weeks.
For playoffs? Are we doing the midnight episode? Are we doing it kind of earlier? How is this going? I don't even know.
I mean, we can record it earlier because the games shouldn't end as late on Sunday.
It'll feel weird, though. Like, are we going?
Have to. I mean, it's dark at 6 anyways. But we might not yawn as much.
Think about how many props we're going to be how many props we're going to have to resort to during the playoffs. Although there's 2 more playoff games in week 1.
Who are you rooting most to make the playoffs that you can bet against them?
So here was my train of thought. Okay, I was pro Cardinals. I have plus 240 to make the playoffs. I have plus 104 midseason to make the playoffs. Betting interest. Also, I didn't want the Vikings to make the playoffs. Fuck that.
I'm shocked by that.
I also, and the so I was Cardinals, and then today though I was like, well, the Vikings are out. I also don't want to see the Bears in the playoffs either though. So I was rooting Cardinals. I have a decent amount of Washington football team to win the NFC East, like at plus 400, plus 200, all that stuff. So those are the 2 teams I want to see, not only because I have betting interest on them making it, but I'm also going to bet the shit out of the other team when they get in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's no team. I kind of hope Trubisky makes it because I will bet.
But in the AFC, I think Baltimore. So as a Chiefs fan, I think Baltimore is a problem. If we could somehow figure out how to not get them not in the playoffs, that's a good thing. I think if you're Kansas City.
Okay, here's one. The Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry, but I will bet against Baker.
So who
Mayfield.
would Cleveland? So if the Cleveland's a 7 seed, they would face Pittsburgh more than likely. So then the 6 seed would be like the Colts or the Ravens, who would face.
Yeah.
No, the Browns won't be the 6 seed though. They have a better record than the Ravens. Although the Ravens could catch them. Browns go Jets, Pittsburgh. Ravens go Giants, Bengals. So the Ravens are winning out. So there's really no chance that the Ravens don't make the playoffs. So then could the Miami Dolphins snipe the Colts? Colts have Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's an L. Maybe. Maybe. That's not a winnable. That's not a game where they're favored. And then
it's 2.5 point spread. All right. Well, whatever. It's late.
Yeah, it's like, who do they have? Oh, they have Jaguars week 17. Fuck that. Ugh.
All right. That was our show. We'll be back with you on Wednesday evening. Thanks for tuning in. Love y'all. Peace.